Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a little bit of a surprise video because I have gotten a request, or a good amount of requests, to film a video like this, and I have something similar like this already on my channel, but it has been a while, so it is a little outdated already. But basically, a lot of you have been asking about my opinion on brushes. What brushes do I use? What brushes do I consider like my must-haves? And also, especially for those of you out there who are also makeup artists, you're asking how I cleanse my brushes or how I wash them. I did do a video not too long ago about how I sanitize my brushes and my products, and I do talk a little bit about how I clean them in between uses. So let's just get into it. First off, before I show you my brushes and my brush collection and all that, as far as which brushes I carry with me to all of my makeup appointments, I will start off by saying that for in-between uses, it's really important that you get a really good brush cleaner. My personal favorite is the Cinema Secrets brush cleaner. It is this blue guy right here, hands down the best brush cleaner out there. One, it just takes off all the product right away. Two, it dries really fast. And three, it smells like vanilla. So a lot of my clients do compliment the way my brushes smell, and it has to do with that brush cleaner because it is a deodorizer as well. In my previous video that I just talked about, I do show you guys how I clean my brushes with that cleaner. So that is definitely for in-between uses between my clients. Once I clean off my brushes with that, as far as all the color and product, I do go over with rubbing alcohol just to disinfect a little bit further. So after every work day, I do wash my brushes, like deep clean them, totally get them wet, you know, with soap and all that. So my favorite soap to use when washing my brushes is the Beauty Blender. No, it's not Beauty Blender. Well, it's by Beauty Blender, but it's the Blender Cleanser, the solid formula. I remember some years back I saw this and thought like, ugh, like a solid, I don't know why I had such beef with solid cleansers, but when I tried a little sample baby of this from the makeup show not too long ago, I was really and pleasantly surprised because it cleans your brushes really, really well. It smells good, but the biggest plus also is, I don't know what it is, but something about this cleanser, my brushes dry super fast whenever I am using that. When I'm deep cleansing, as opposed to using other soaps, it would take hours and hours and hours to dry. But with this one, I don't know what it is in the formula, but don't be fooled or don't get mistaken or misunderstand me when I say that they dry super fast, because it's not that they're drying them out. Like, my brushes are super, super soft, because this also, even though it dries them fast, it conditions them super well. I mean, my brushes have never felt better before. So definitely a really, really good cleanser I highly suggest, and it's just definitely my favorite. So while I'm using the solid cleanser, what I do also use is the Sigma Spa Mat. I won't show you all of it because it looks kind of gross right now. When I previously washed my brushes, just a little bit of soap got dried in there, so that's why it looks like it has that white cast. I need to clean that off, so don't judge, but definitely that tool is super helpful, and they have other variations of it as far as like a glove, and I think an even smaller one for traveling as well. So definitely check out the Sigma website for those brush cleaning mats, because they are awesome, because you can wash multiple brushes at a time and just get the job done. So one of my friends and followers and subscribers, Callie, she asked me if I could talk about how do I set my brushes to dry without them getting like all deformed and stuff. And that's a really, really good question, because there is a way to make sure that your brushes keep their shape. My mom's coming home and my dog freaks out every time someone's at the door, so hold on, because she's gonna start to whimper. So that is a really good question, because when you deep cleanse your brushes, obviously there are some things that you need to do when you're ready to have them set out to dry in order to make sure that they don't lose their shape, because if not, they can get really wonky on you, and obviously they're not going to be applying the products the way that they need to be applied. So what you need to keep in mind is, after you're done deep cleaning your brushes, definitely wring out the brush of all the products. So let's say that I just deep cleansed this brush right here, I would definitely make sure to squeeze out all of the excess water. And when I'm going to make sure to set it out to dry, I have to make sure that I definitely run my fingers over it, kind of shape it while it's wet, and then leave it in that shape and leave it to set out to dry. So let's say, for instance, I was washing a brush like this one where it has a really distinct shape. It's obviously a fan brush. When it's wet, it could get crumpled like this. If you leave it to set out to dry like this, it's gonna dry probably weird. If you leave it with any bends, like when you place it down on the ledge of your table or whatever you leave your brushes on to dry, it's gonna stay like this. It's gonna have a dent or a crease. So when, let's say, shaping a fan brush, you really wanna make sure you wring out all the water leave it and flatten it out with your fingers. You really want to use your fingers to shape your brush while it's wet and then leave it there to dry. Then when it's all dry in the morning or a few hours later, whatever, you can run your fingers through the brush, just kind of break it up and loosen it up a little bit, and the shape will be fine. It's like kind of when you're doing your hair. You know how when you curl your hair, in order to keep the curl shape, you curl it and then let it cool down in that really tight coil. And then when you're ready to like brush out your curls, you literally run your fingers through. It's kind of the same concept, but except with instead of your hair, it's your brushes. So definitely make sure to pay attention to the shapes. Eye brushes as well, especially something like this where it's really long and fluffy. You really want to make sure you're squeezing it out into like a point here. And then once it's in a point, it'll dry like this. You can break it up and it's going to stay nice and pointed but yet fluffy, because obviously it's naturally going to break apart. So definitely make sure you are shaping your brushes while they are drying. I know there are some tools out there. I think even Sigma sells like a drying spa mat or something to where it's actual bands that you can put the bristles in while it's drying to just hold them together to keep their shape. But it's really not necessary as long as you shape them with your fingers, and make sure that they're hanging off of a ledge when they're drying, because that way the table underneath or whatever you have them on top of isn't going to be crushing the bristles, and they're not going to have any creases to them. So those are the key points you need to know when you're deep cleansing your brushes or when you're washing them. Now to go through the brushes that I carry with me. So these brushes that I carry with me in my kit are not only brushes that I feel like I need, but they're definitely brushes that I pretty much use almost on every client and every appointment. Some of the brushes in here, I'll be honest, some of them I have in here because obviously I use them pretty much every single time. Sometimes, and then there's some in here that I pretty much never use, but I feel like just in case, you never know, I might need them. And then there's a few brushes in here where I'll use off and on. So I kind of have a variety of what I need. I have my all-time favorites or total necessities. I have the ones that I never really touch, and then I have some that I use every now and then, just depending on the circumstances. So what I'm going to do is probably go through it by section. So first off, I did show this in my makeup kit must-haves, but this is where I keep my brushes. It's a brush belt. So what I do with this brush belt, I don't wear it. I actually kind of just leave it propped up when I'm with a client, and I just kind of pick and choose from here, put it back in when I'm done with it and all that. The only time I do wear it is when I'm going from like my car to the place where I need to set up, because that way it's just less for me to carry in my hands. So I do wear it on my hip when I'm just like being mobile or transferring from one place to the next. But anyway, how I have my brushes arranged, it's really in no particular order as far as like you should follow this order. It's basically an order that I created because by now I pretty much memorize where every brush is and where every brush goes. But definitely set up your brush belt or your brush kit in whatever way feels more comfortable for you, which way you can see it better, or which way you can see your brushes better, which is more visually pleasing. So definitely that's something that you have to decide on how to do, but I definitely do suggest to stick to like a set way of where you place your brushes. That way over time you do get used to it and you memorize where every brush goes. So during appointments you actually become a lot faster when grabbing for brushes. So let's go through this in sections because I think that's going to be just the easiest thing to do. I'm going to start off on my right hand side with what I carry in here, whether they're brushes or tools. So definitely in this pocket I do carry my makeup mixer, which is a little hand palette, and I do carry a pair of tweezers for lashes and another pair of different tweezers. These are from Lily Lashes. They came in one of the Lily Lash sets that I bought. I like this one because it has a hook kind of on the end of it. You guys can see it here. And what I like about this is that sometimes when a client's eyelashes are drying from the glue, and when they open their eyes, the corners can still be a little bit stuck to the bottom lashes. So what I have them do is just kind of look up and away, and I'll go in here with this little guy and just break it away from the top lashes. That way nothing is being stuck together. Okay, now moving on to brushes on my right hand side. So with these two brushes that I have, definitely make sure you have really good concealer brushes. The concealer brushes I use is this one from Mary Kay and also this one from MAC. This is their 287 brush. This is really, really good to just kind of smooth out any creases underneath the eye. And this one is just good for placement, especially for highlighting and contouring. The next pocket, I have your classic eye brushes. And what I mean by that are brushes that look like little paddles here. This is just basically a classic eye brush. What I like to use this is for shimmer or metallic products to apply on the lid. Also, I have my Morphe B27 brush, which you guys see me use all the time. I use this one to apply the all over base color. Then I also have in that pocket my Bobbi Brown eye blender brush, and I like to use this one to apply shimmer highlight on the cheekbones and stuff like that, just because I feel like it applies a decent amount and it blends it out really well. Next, I have bottom eye liner brushes, or whatever you want to call them. They're basically just like eye definers, eyeliner smudgers, stuff like that. So the ones I like to carry are, this one is from Morphe. I've shown it in my videos. It doesn't have any name. It just has like a little point here. And with this one, I basically use this one to apply the inner corner highlight and brow bone highlight. Again, you can find it on Morphe. Look for just small detail brushes because that one has no name. I do have a Mary Kay smudge brush. I use this to smoke out my bottom liner. And then I have these two brushes. One is from e.l.f. and then the other one is from MAC, the MAC 212 brush. The e.l.f. one I carry just in case, and the MAC one is pretty much the one I use all the time. And this is just to put, this is just to tight line bottom lashes. Next, I have pretty much just brushes that are either, they're two-sided, they're dual-ended brushes in the next pocket, and they're basically just for detail work. So I have brushes that are pencil brushes. I have a small one, two pointy ones, a little bit of like a really small defined outer crease brush, and then I have on here a flat shader brush, another smudge brush, a real haired fluffy brush, and then a flat shader brush as well. So basically any detail brushes I definitely recommend. Make sure you have your fluffy brushes, make sure you have your flat shader brushes, make sure you have any small pencil or pointy brushes. Again, for detail work, because you never know what a client may ask for, and you also never know what brush you're gonna need to apply to do some really small like precision detail work and stuff like that. Then for brow brushes, I have my Anastasia number 12 brush. I use this brush every single time for my clients and for myself. This is the best brow brush, hands down. It works with powder and the pomade products. And in that same pocket, I also carry the MAC 286 brush, or no, 266 brush. My numbers are getting all smudged here. And this one could also be used as a brow brush, but what I actually use this one for is when my client's eyelashes are drying and maybe still some glue hasn't completely dried clear yet and they're in a rush. I'll just pick a little bit of black shadow up with this one and just press it onto the band of the eyelash where the glue has yet to dry, just to conceal any of the glue that is still visible. So now moving on to the pockets in the front on the left hand side, which is this side right over here. And basically how I set up my brushes, it's like small brushes first, and then it goes to larger brushes. So the first one I have on the left hand side is going to be the lip brush that I always use. It's actually an eye brush. It's from Crown Brush. This is their C47, I believe. It's already also wiped off as well. But I really love to use this brush for the lips. Definitely, if you find a brush that, even though it's considered for the eyes, but you find it a better purpose for whatever other reason you want to use it for, definitely there's no rules to it. Use whatever brushes work for you for whatever product. You know, there is no guidelines as okay, you have to use this brush for the eyes only. Definitely use them for whatever makes it more helpful for you. For my eyeliner brushes, I have an ankle brush from Morphe. My B13 is my holy grail eyeliner brush for sure. I use this pretty much on every client because it is just the perfect angle brush. What makes it so good is the fact that it's actually really skinny at the end of here. It's an angle brush, but since it's so skinny, it gives a really nice precise line. And I love that it's a little bit shorter, so it makes it a little bit more stiffer, which means you have more control. Then I have my Bobbi Brown Ultra Fine Liner brush. This one's really good for tight lining or putting eyeliner on the bottom lashes because it is paddle shape. And then I have a Sigma Wing Liner E06 brush. This one I hardly use, but when I do use it, it's actually to create that little point in the inner corner of the eye because it's so small and precise. Then I have a flat foundation brush from Real Techniques. I don't use it for foundation because it's way too small. What I actually use this for is to apply any moisturizer or primer to the skin before using my fingers to blend it out. Then I have another Real Techniques brush. This is their setting brush, and I actually use this to set product underneath the eye or in the T-zone, just for a light dusting if we're not baking. Then moving on to my favorite eye brushes. These are the blending brushes that I really enjoy. I have another clean Bobbi Brown eye blender brush because you guys know I use this pretty much for everything and everything. I have a Mary Kay blending brush for the crease. It's a little bit more pointy, definitely when I just need to go in there and really concentrate on a certain area in the crease. And then lastly, my Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush. I'll use this in the crease, but also for the outer corner since it's so small and it really blends out the outer V really nicely. Then I have these 3 small detail face brushes from BH Cosmetics. No names to them, but they do sell in a set that look exactly like this, so go onto their website and you can find it. Out of these 3, I really only use this one the most, which is like a fluffy angle brush, because I love this to blend out my nose contours. Also on the bottom of this left hand side, I do carry around my pair of scissors to trim eyelashes, a smaller pencil brush, which is this brush is so old, but I just can't let it go. It's from Mary Kay. I just love the way it blends out the bottom lash line and smokes it out. This is from Sonia Kashuk. It's from a set, so it doesn't have a specific name, but basically I like to use this brush for 2 things. I've recently found that I really like it for lips, but I also really like it to apply the thin stripe just down the center of the nose for nose contours. And then I have another Anastasia brush. This is their number 15 brush, and this is really good to clean up the brows with concealer because it's so small and precise and angled as well. Now moving on to the face brushes that I do have. This is a huge, big, fluffy powder brush from Morphe. I hardly never use this, but I do keep it with me, either to dust off any product that may have fallen onto my client's décolleté area, or to apply bronzer if we're doing like body work and I need to really bronze up her collarbones or her shoulders and stuff like that. So definitely I keep this just in case. Next, I do carry a fan brush, again, for highlighting purposes. Sometimes clients' cheekbones just work better with a fan brush, especially if they're really, really defined. A fan brush is perfect for that. This one is from Stilazzi, and it is just called their fan brush. Another really important brush of mine is the Luxie 512 Small Contouring Brush. This brush, I use it for multiple reasons. I'll use it to put powder underneath the eye area or just the center of the face, or also you can use it for contouring. This gives a really nice, precise, but soft contour since it's so fluffy and round. Then I have one of my Holy Grail foundation brushes, which is the Bobbi Brown Full Coverage Face Brush, and I love to use this when I'm using my Bobbi Brown Skin Stick foundation, and really it works with any other foundation as well. You guys see me use this brush all the time. It just gives a really nice full coverage and it's so soft. Another brush that I really love for powder contouring is the Luxie 504 Large Angle Brush. This one does get in there more precisely, and since it's a little bit larger, it does cover a larger area, and it's really soft and the angle of it is just perfect. This is also a really good brush to use for blush as well. I also have my Bobbi Brown Sheer Powder Face Brush. This one is so important to me. I absolutely love this brush. I really love this to pack powder right underneath the eye area because of the shape, and it's tapered so it's almost flat against the edges. So it packs on powder really, really well. I also have my Bobbi Brown Face Blender Brush, which is a real hair powder brush really, but what it's good for is to actually literally blend out products on the face. Since it's real hair, it'll absorb into the brush, so you're not just depositing color. You can actually pick up a little bit and disperse it to where it needs to be. Another brush you guys see me use all the time, and this is definitely one of my favorite brushes, one because of the price and two because of what it does, is the e.l.f. Small Stippling Brush. This one I use to blend out the contour. It blends it out seamlessly, and the fact that you can get it at pretty much anywhere, Target, H-E-B, any grocery store that sells e.l.f. for I think $3 is what I paid for this. MAC has a brush that's super similar to this, and obviously paying $3 beats paying $30, so definitely check this one out. The only thing I can say about this one, just to be wary of, is the fact that since it is, you know, a little cheaper quality, it can give out on you faster, which means that the bristles could start to come off, which means it's time to replace it. But I personally don't have a problem with replacing a $3 brush, especially if it just does the job for me. And then another brush that I use all the time, this is my favorite blush brush for sure, is the Luxie Tapered Face Brush. You can definitely use this for bronzer or powder, but I love this for blush because it just is so tapered and so soft that it beautifully blends out blush from the apples all the way up to the temple. And then this one is a brush that I use off and on. This is the Luxie 540 Fan Brush. I'll use it for highlight, but like I said, off and on. I just don't tend to find myself using it too often, just because it is rather large, but definitely it is a very soft brush, and it does apply a highlight beautifully, but especially if you want like a strong highlight, this is a good one to use. But if you want to kind of have more control over your highlight, I wouldn't suggest to use that one. And now moving on to the other side again with my other face brushes. So recently I absolutely love this brush, and someone did ask me on my past video what brush this was. And it doesn't have a name. Again, it's part of that Sonia Kashuk set that I got. They all kind of look the same. They have this like blue and gold tint to them. And they don't have names. They were sold in a set, but I'm more than sure that if you look on Sonia Kashuk products and find like a large powder brush, it'll be this one. It's just not going to look the same because of the colors, but I want to say they should have these sold separately. I'm not too sure though, like I'm not 100% sure, but definitely it's worth checking out. But this one I absolutely love right now for putting on bronzer because it just applies it so lightweight to where you have a lot of control over your coverage, but it's just also very large and it's super soft, so it just applies it really nice without looking too muddy. Then again, I have another large angle brush. This is really good to placing contour as well, or this is actually what I use to blend away baking most of the time. Because of the angle, I can actually flick off the powder really easily underneath my client's eyes. This one again is another brush that I've actually had for a while, but I just recently started using it. This is the Morphe MB30 brush, and it's just like a large flat brush, super similar and probably a dupe for the NARS Ita brush. And basically it's just to put a really nice chisel contour. I used it today, so it's just a really good way to get a nice sharp contour going on. This is another BH Cosmetics brush, the same set that the small angle one came in. See, they look the same. And it doesn't have a name, it's sold in the set. I love to use this for powder foundation because it is very dense and it's just the perfect brush to use to really get a nice coverage with powder foundation. This one, definitely another recent favorite of mine. I'm using it constantly. This is from that Sonia Kashuk set once again, and it's exactly like the MB39 brush from Morphe, but instead it's a lot smaller. So I love to use this one for the nose contour to apply it on the sides because you get a really nice sharp line. Another favorite brush of mine that I use pretty much all the time on my clients is the Expert Face Brush from Real Techniques. It is very small. You can use it for foundation if you want to, but what I actually like to use this for is to blend out concealer underneath my client's eyes and the highlighted areas. It blends it out so well, melts it right into the foundation. And then lastly, the brush that I say is a total must-have is the Morphe B39. This one is the MB39, and this is the one that I talk about all the time. You guys see me use this in my videos constantly. I also use this one on my clients because it is just the perfect foundation brush. I absolutely love it. So this is, again, from Morphe. It's just your big round kabuki brush. It's so large though, and it covers a large area of the face. You get a really nice full coverage and you get it on really fast. And then the last two brushes I have here in my brush belt is the Sephora Flawless Airbrush 50, I want to say this was 56 brush. And this one is also really good for contour. I used to use it a lot for that. I just recently haven't been because of the other brushes I have accumulated. And then same thing with this one, part of that Sonia Kashuk set. It's just like a small dome fluffy brush. Again, really good for contouring, just for precision work around the face. And other than that, with my brush belt, I do like to carry a hair clip just on the side of it here, and I carry it just in case my client's going to need it. So these are all the brushes that I carry in my set. The ones that I mentioned and that you can find are going to be down below. Just a really good thing to keep in mind, especially if you're just starting off. Don't feel the need to have to spend loads of money in investing into your brushes right away. There are so many companies out there now that sell good quality brushes at an affordable price. So definitely do your research and look into them. Honestly, out of the brushes I have, the high-end ones that I paid for myself are my MAC ones, which are just this one and the angled brush. Other than that, all the other brushes that I have in here that are high-end, which is pretty much just my Bobbi Brown brushes, I got those while I was still working with the company, so they were pretty much free. So I didn't have to pay for them. If I didn't have those brushes, I definitely would be finding dupes for them because some brushes just run so expensive and it's pretty ridiculous. And even if you're not a makeup artist and you're just someone that needs more brushes for your collection because you really want to learn more about how to properly apply makeup to yourself, then again, look into those more affordable brands. So the ones that I did mention and that I can find online, I'll definitely list them down below, and that way you guys can check out the brands for yourself and see their other brushes that they offer. But other than that, those are the brushes that I carry in my kit to every appointment. They are pretty much my must-haves, and I don't feel comfortable if I leave the house without one of them. So that's it for this video, guys. It's really quick, kind of just like a pop-up surprise video for today, but I just want to talk about that really quick because I know a lot of you have been asking me recently to explain which brushes are my favorites and this like that. And with brushes, there's just so many to choose from that it's just really hard to answer that question, but hopefully this gives you a good idea of the brushes that I use and I love. So yeah, if you guys like this video or found it helpful, let me know. Also, let me know if there's anything else you want to see from this makeup artist series. Again, leave me your suggestions down below. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.